Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the first live video show from Cura Financial Services. And I'm Roger Edwards. I'm here just today to facilitate and to press the buttons and to twiddle the knobs and to make sure that everything stays on the screen. The good news is I'm not going to be doing much of the talking. I'm just going to be asking Alan and Catherine some questions about their quirky marketing campaigns and the success they've had over the last year or two, putting out marketing campaigns using characters from The Walking Dead, using characters from Game of Thrones, but transposing them into Gnomes, and using those campaigns to promote protection insurance. So let's get into this. Alan and Catherine, I want you just to tell us a little bit about how you came to start Cura, and also you have a sub-brand which is Special Risks Bureau. So how did it all start?
Well, we all worked under a different company at first, didn't we? Under a different principal, and he decided he was going to retire. We were all in the insurance services and still doing the insurance brokerage, doing what we do now. And he decided he was going to retire. So it was a case of, do we all become redundant or start up our own business? So we decided to start up the business, take on all the employees and just carrying on, because it was a good basis for a company, but we knew that we could do better with this. We directed it as much as we could under the other person, but we knew that we could obviously make it even better.
Absolutely. We chose the name Cura and changed away from the old company. Cura, for anybody who doesn't know, is Latin for care and concern, which is why we chose the name. We wanted something just a little bit different, something that had a little bit of meaning behind it, and we've built and developed on that from there.
Yeah.
I never knew that was the where your name came from. You see, I learn something every day as well. And you guys specialize in what you call quirky lives. And I guess the rest of the industry calls quirky lives impaired lives. Now, in fairness, I've always had a bit of a problem with the term impaired lives. It just sounds a bit grim, doesn't it? So I like the way that you've tried to reinvent that term and make it into something different. But have you seen an advantage to your business in focusing on a niche like quirky lives?
Definitely. I mean, one of the things was that we didn't go out of our way to go for what we call the quirky lives. It was just a natural progression in the business, and we kept finding that we were getting inquiries from people who were constantly coming to us saying, we just cannot get cover anywhere. I've had this, I've had that. And it just became, it was just a very natural progression of the company. We just started to say, you know what, there are so many people here actually. We didn't specifically market to people who'd had previous health conditions or high risk work or anything, or specifically to people who had what we consider completely normal lives. And that was just how it sort of progressed. And we thought, you know what, we should start helping people more, because I mean, for myself, I have about 5 million different illnesses anyway, so I'd be considered an impaired life, and I don't like it, but I don't mind being called quirky, which is where we probably came from with that. So it was nice to think that we were actually helping people who were really struggling.
Yeah. And I think half the battle, is that so many, we always talk at all the conferences about how underinsured the country is and how many people don't have protection. But actually, there are a lot of people who want protection who feel that they can't get it, who apply, who are knocked back, who are declined. So doing our bit, having that niche really does help. And it's amazing how many of those people actually can be placed cover when you look in the right areas. It takes a lot more time, which I think is where sometimes it sort of falls off, especially if people are looking at mortgages and lots of other business at the same time.
And it's quite interesting because in your social media activity, especially the stuff that Catherine does, you're often sending out tweets that say, if you're a deep sea diver, what sort of insurance terms might you get? Or if you hike up the Amazon River, or, you're actually looking for quite quirky examples. And I think it's actually quite refreshing, because you're right, people probably think, oh, I have a hazardous occupation or I have a dangerous hobby, I'm never going to be able to get insurance. But what your guys are doing is you're putting out quite a lot of content which says, no, you can get cover. It's just that you've got to know what you're doing. And we are specializing in that, and we can help you.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of experience and we've got a lot of contacts who can help us get this cover for people. I say it's not very nice, even if people have been turned away. That's one thing, being turned away is bad enough, but also to go somewhere and to be told, you know what, you're an impaired life. That's kind of a smack in the face for a lot of people as well. It's not nice to have that said to you, and I think we've got a very specific way of how we speak to people as well, in the sense of you have to be so sympathetic to circumstances. And I'm not sure they necessarily they have that experience all the time.
And people appreciate it when you know their condition, when you've obviously spoke to someone with that condition before, and you get somebody ringing and they say, well, they've got Barrett's esophagus, and you can say to them, well, do you know roughly how much of your esophagus is affected by it? Has there been any dysplasia? Now, they'll know exactly what you mean by that because they've got the condition, but they'll go, wow, I can't believe you've asked me that. Nobody ever asks me that. But actually, it's the relevant information. So we learn a lot with it as well, just by speaking to these people.
I think when you work in an industry all the time, you tend to become immune to the language that we use. And I agree with you that I wouldn't want somebody to say, oh, Roger, you're an impaired life, we're going to charge you more money. And I think that maybe people won't like being called quirky lives either, but quirky to me, like you've said, sounds a little bit less, I don't know, insulting than impaired lives. And of course, not only are you offering this specialist service to your own customers, you're also offering this service to other financial advisors, aren't you? So if a financial advisor has a quirky life, a deep sea diver or somebody who treks up the Amazon, then you're going to offer to help them out as well, aren't you?
Yes, we've got our referral brochure as well, which we've just started launching, but obviously much more about it anyway.
So the referral brochure's on the website, but to be honest, we just encourage other brokers, and I think some of the people listening in possibly have used the service as well, but we encourage people, whether in a network directly authorised, just to pick up the phone and give us a call if they're stuck with a case. Obviously, you try it yourself first. You exhaust your own options. We'd expect somebody's probably pre-saled or ran insurers already. But if you're sort of hitting that brick wall and you're stuck, then to get in touch and just have a conversation with us. It's not like some of the other sort of, I guess you could call them sort of pseudo brokers who maybe work in the Lloyd's market, and you request a quote, it takes 5 days, and then they ask for more information. The way we would work is people ring us, we have a talk with the advisor, and by the end of that conversation, we can usually give them a good idea whether it's something that we can look at or not. It's totally transparent, totally open, and then we usually have a bit of backwards and forwards with the advisors before ever approaching the client. And it's worked really well for everyone involved.
I think what's nice as well is that there's been quite a few times where people have contacted us and we've turned around, and it's potentially something that's actually quite easy and quite simple, and it's just that they've maybe missed or overlooked something in the insurers that they can speak to, and we just tell them, go, you know what, just go there, speak to that person, you'll be fine, you can do it all yourself, rather than sort of saying, oh yeah, we'll take it from you, going through all the process and the administrative side of things of setting up introducer agreements. We will be fair and say, look, this is quite a simple one, just do it yourself. But then at the same point, we have our people come and ring us up and say sort of, oh, I've got someone with a heart attack who's done this, 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 and this. Who should I go to? And we go, hang on a minute. That's a little bit cheeky. Let's have to chat a bit more about that.
Yeah, we don't want to encourage. We don't want to encourage too much dodgy behaviour, do we?
But I notice Adrian's on the call at the moment from the Exeter, and we actually had a broker who rang us up and asked about some key person cover, and it was a BMI case, and actually we ended up just saying, well, actually this is for you, it's for your company. Have a chat with Adrian at the Exeter, and we put them onto the Managed Life product. It would have been unfair for us to take something that was like that. So it worked really well, and we're happy to do that as well.
And of course, it's been a really successful year for you in terms of marketing your business. And earlier in the year, you won the Money Marketing Award for the best protection intermediary. I was delighted to be actually at the Money Marketing Awards ceremony to pick up that award on your behalf, because Catherine, you were just about to give birth to your latest child, I think, at the time. And the judges said that the reason that you won was because you are a relatively small brokerage, absolutely punching above your weight, and they loved the quirkiness of your marketing. Now, of course, your marketing campaigns over the last few years have involved a sort of pastiche of The Walking Dead. You've used zombies to sell life insurance. You did a really interesting advent calendar last Christmas where every single day Catherine appeared in a minute and a half video. And most recently, you have done a Game of Gnomes campaign. And again, that was coincided so that launched the day after the season finale of Game of Thrones, quite nicely to popular culture there. So what was the trigger, guys, that made you start to do this, to start to think about marketing your business using these quite interesting marketing angles?
Well, really, I think anybody who knows us as well is pretty much, it's me and my weird head and how I see things, basically. And for every one of these campaigns, there's been quite a few months of me going to him, I want to do this, and I'm going, no. And me saying, I want to do this, and I'm going, no. And I just keep nagging him until he lets me do it. But it was just one of these things where Alan was chatting about Walking Dead, and I've heard him witter on about Walking Dead for so many years now, and then everyone in the office was going on about it, and they're going on and on. And I just suddenly thought, well, why not? You know, there's a lot of death in that, and we talk about death all the time in the insurance industry. And why not try and make it a little bit more lighthearted and try, you know, we're always saying there's a massive protection gap. So many people not getting insurance. How can we engage them? And there's millions of people watching these shows. And why not try and see if this could be a way to engage them? I wasn't expecting any kind of miracles and floods in of, like, you know, millions and millions of people to start sitting and inquiring with us about different products. But I thought, well, why not? Just sort of like try and give something that imaged interest a few more people than not.
And I think the other aspect of it was, and it's something we'd spoken about in the past, is the idea of content marketing. So it's trying to use something that's unrelated to your business to promote your own services, which, yeah, you know, it is engaging people, it is getting out there, but it's also helping us promote our brand and our services by something that's a little bit more exciting than life insurance.
Yeah, I think that linking what we do to popular culture is a massive opportunity that a lot of people in the life insurance financial services industry just forget. I always remember, I can't remember how long ago this is now, but in Coronation Street, Alf Roberts was a very prominent character, and he died in the show, and he died on New Year's Eve, and there was a little bit of controversy in the program about whether he died before midnight or just after midnight. And it was important because in the actual show, he claimed, or his wife, Audrey Roberts, claimed on a life insurance policy. And in the show, they turned the life insurance policy down because they said, well, the policy ran out at the end of that year, and he died 1 minute into the next day, and therefore they turned it down. I went running into my manager at the time and say, we've got to put out a press release. I was working for Scottish Provident at the time. We've got to put out a press release and say, we wouldn't have done this. We would have paid Alf's claim. And the marketing manager looked at me and he says, oh, Roger, go away. Don't be so stupid. And I'm sitting there thinking, look, 17 million people watched this episode last night. Yeah, that many people used to watch TV. 17 million people watched this program. And now 17 million people think life insurance companies are going to turn down claims over such a technicality. And that was when I started. You need to start reminding yourself that, you know, people sometimes think these characters in these soaps are real. So why not use it as an opportunity to promote your brand?
Definitely. And it's always nice to do something fun as well. And I think one thing that we forget about sometimes as well is that, because obviously like you say, we've become a bit immune to it because we are in the industry, is that we're not just asking people to sort of think about the chance that they may die young or they may get cancer. We're actually getting people to plan for them dying. We're getting people to plan for them being seriously ill. It's depressing. It's not something that people want to talk about. And unless somebody actually has a real reason and thinks, you know, right, I need this, you know, you're not going to really want to, people aren't going to want to engage. You know, it's boring, it's dull. So anything we can do to try and address that can only be a good thing.
And how do you come up with your ideas then, guys?
Well, a lot of the time, yes, it's me. So with The Walking Dead, as I said, they've been going on about Walking Dead, and I thought, you know, let's do that. And at the time, infographics were the major thing. Whereas I think they're a bit now, I kind of feel like infographics have had the day a bit now. The insurance advent calendar, that was just something I literally thought of one night, and Alan's just like, no, not a chance. I am not doing videos. I am not doing 24 videos. And we did a test, didn't we, of us both? And
I was pretty much told, let Catherine do it.
the office voted for Alan not to do it. So I have to say, I battled through my morning sickness and did all the videos. I'm going to keep digging at him for that. And obviously it worked quite well, you know, with the videos we had, and I haven't got started the latest amount, but the last time I checked, we'd had over 6,500 views of those videos, which was just fantastic. You know, it does work. I'm trying to think of the words to say.
Yeah.
It's working.
We'd also had what was really nice. I mean, I would actually say that the Advent calendar has probably been our most successful campaign, out, even though the other two have probably been slightly quirkier in a sense, and obviously using the pop culture. The Advent calendar was brilliant. And we actually had people ringing us after they'd watched some of the YouTube videos and saying, I've just found this, I've just come across this. I've actually got this condition, or you know, and we had a couple with cancer and stuff, and they were actually saying, I've seen Catherine doing this, and then people coming up with the spot the oddities and saying stuff. And
yeah, well, that was our sales manager as well. Because she was saying, where did they come from? Our sales manager came for the spot the oddity campaign. James came up with that, and we just thought that was such a fantastic thing. So even though I maybe start it off, it then progresses and rolls, and people get involved, and it becomes a joint effort with us all.
I think as well, it's quite easy to dismiss 6,000 views if you compare yourself to somebody like Casey Neistat or something like that, who's getting millions and millions of views on YouTube. But the reality is, for the financial services industry in the United Kingdom, which is a niche of a niche of a niche, isn't it? 6,000 is a really big achievement. You know, you would be delighted if you were stood in front of 6,000 people in an auditorium talking about your business. So what you've done, you've reached a lot of people, and hopefully those people that you've reached will be sitting there, like you said, oh, I've maybe got this condition, or I need to think about life insurance, or I need to think about critical illness cover. And, you know, so it's a remarkable achievement. And again, the other thing, of course, is that you don't need a BBC outside broadcast unit to produce good stuff these days. I mean, I think what you guys did is
iPhone and tripod.
iPhone and tripod, absolutely right. You know, the iPhone, the most up-to-date iPhones now, in fact, even the 6 and the 6S can take 1080p HD video, which is actually better than broadcast quality BBC. So you can put together really good quality content on your iPhone and get it out there for people to see. And
I think we did say we should have done a blooper reel, though, of me with the insurance admin calendar, because the amount of times it went wrong, and eventually it was getting a little bit, sort of like mind the language a little bit, as I was getting a bit ticked off with it all.
Of course, the thing is that if you did that, the blooper reel would probably have got 12,000 views. But
probably, yeah, I should have done it, but I just didn't think.
What was nice about the Advent calendar as well is all of the videos contributed then towards guides on the website, so the content was almost doubly useful, wasn't it?
Yes, and it went over all the social media and everything. But also after The Walking Dead, we did the podcast with yourself and with Martin Bamford as well. And I think with the video and obviously doing the podcast as well, it's giving a personal side of things. I actually had specifically one client when I was chatting to him, we got to the part with the application where we had to do the payment details. And I said to him, are you happy to give me the payment details? And he was like, yeah. I did a search about you, and I found this podcast, and I heard you on there, and you were chatting away to somebody about, you know, being in financial services, so I know that you're a legitimate person. And that was really nice, actually, because it was obviously, he'd recognised my voice, and he'd obviously gone out of his way as well to find out about me, and to make sure that I was so legitimate. So there's just so many different avenues that these different marketing things can help in as well.
And of course, the most recent campaign you did was Game of Gnomes, launched the day after the season finale of Game of Thrones. How's that one gone down?
It's gone down really well. It's probably, in our fairness, it's probably not done as well as we'd expected. We thought they would have had a lot of attention with it being Game of Thrones, but we've had over 1,000 people complete it, which again, like you say, if you're in a room full of 1,000 people and you got all of their attention, that would be fantastic. Again, it's made us sort of, for a little bit, it's made us kind of the talk of the industry again, I think, for a while. You know, the insurance companies have all been contacting us saying, oh, you've done this is fantastic, love Game of Thrones. And we've had quite a lot of people, just general public as well, get involved. So it's nice.
And it led to, well, Game of Thrones itself probably didn't influence the Money Marketing Award, but The Walking Dead and the Advent Calendar certainly did. How did it feel to win that Intermediary Protection Award at Money Marketing this year?
It was really in shock. I think my tweet was like, ah! You know, it was amazing because, I mean, not sort of like to keep saying about the whole thing that we're a small intermediary or anything, but we are a small intermediary. We're out there against some really huge firms with lots and lots of employees, probably a lot more resources than ourselves, in prominent positions in London and other big cities. And here we are inside the back end of nowhere in North Yorkshire, just a small team. And it was really lovely to get that recognition as well, because we are good at what we do and we do care about the people that we do the cover for, and to have one of the biggest sort of like award ceremonies to be recognised there, it just felt like a really good, we were really chuffed.
I love that word, chuffed. What advice would you give to other financial services firms, perhaps other businesses out there, same or similar size to yourselves, who haven't got massive marketing budgets and haven't got BBC outdoor broadcasting units? What would you advise them to do about their own marketing, and based upon the experiences you've had over the last 18 months?
Well, firstly, don't do what I'm doing, because I don't want the competition. So that'll be my first thing. But just don't be afraid. You know, take your time, think about things. But if you suddenly have a really random idea, write it down and chat it out with someone, you know, one of your colleagues or something. Like you say, you don't need anything special. I used an iPhone and a tripod, did 24 videos, and it's been our most successful marketing campaign so far. With the other side of things, you know, we've not brought in marketing strategy teams or whatever. It's not cost us thousands upon thousands to do these different things. You know, we've literally got a graphic designer to do the infographic or to design the gnomes for us, and that's the only kind of external input that we've had. So it's not been massively expensive at all. And I think if you just get the support, you know, from your employees as well, and friends and family, you know, get them all sort of sharing everything social media wise for you, and getting stuff out there and telling everyone, and that's how you'll start to get known. But obviously the big thing for us has been the awards as well, hasn't it? Now, since we started entering the awards, that's where we've really seemed to sort of get the attention, and obviously finding someone such as yourself, Roger, who's sort of like happy to chat away to us.
I think the other thing as well is sort of taking a little bit of time, and you know, social media is such a big thing now. Twitter, Facebook, you know, even LinkedIn, depending on your clients you're trying to attract. And maybe just take a week or two yourself and think, what do I actually engage in? What do I click on? Now, I see life insurance adverts on Facebook, and it is protect your family, you know, today, or, you know, have you got life insurance? And I ignore it. Fine, I'm in the industry, but I think I would ignore it regardless. And I typically try to avoid things that look like they're trying to sell me something. And that's part, again, the reason why we did what we did, was thinking, well, actually, can we do something that doesn't, we're not directly selling something. There's no link to a quote page or anything like that. It's generally coming up with something that hopefully people find interesting and share. And, you know, having a week or two just looking at what you do online and, you know, sort of analysing your own habits, and then think, well, is there a way that I can use that to promote my own business?
This reminds me actually of something you mentioned before. I've been in contact with that Andrew and Pete, the content marketers, and they'd had a look at the Game of Gnomes, absolutely loved it, and they said, oh, brilliant, and they went to the guide, you know, at the bottom where it said, oh, let's have a look at the guide, and they said they went to it and they immediately went, oh, because they went straight to a page full of texts, you know, all to do with life insurance and everything, and they said it was just really boring. And it comes down to that whole thing as well, that it's so difficult in this industry, because no matter what, we always seem to come across as if we're trying to sell something, even if we're just trying to do something fun. You know, it's instinctively, we're trying to sell something that no one could ever possibly claim on. And no matter what, we're so heavily regulated as well that you need to have at least a certain amount of text on the web page, because you need to cover all your bases. So it's a very, very difficult balance at the moment.
Reminded me of what Rhys Williams from Quiet Room said at the protection review this year, and he said IT companies are literally taking the mick out of insurance companies and brokers, because all we do is we write walls and walls of text saying this is what life insurance is and this is when it will pay and when it won't pay, whereas they're saying, well, they're just doing something flash and that is engaging people and gets them straight to the point of what they want to do. So, and that's something we've taken from this, isn't it? That actually we've done this really good campaign, but we probably needed to develop that next step of what happens when somebody goes to the guide, because they don't want to just be hit with a wall of text.
Still being turned off because it's...
Exactly.
It's bomb.
So hopefully you won't do that next time.
And is there any extra help that you could do with, or you think that the product provider should give you? And I know there's a few product providers listening to this. So what would your plea to the provider industry be, guys?
I think I would put my special risks hat on for this one and say sort of almost a bit of a repeat of what I said earlier. There's so many, we're always trying to get new customers, always trying to engage new people into buying life insurance. But actually every single insurance company have clients that they turn down. So we have clients and individuals, and I suppose let's not even call them clients. These are people, these are human beings who are already sold on the idea of protecting the family and know that they want to protect themselves and the family, but actually they are getting turned down. And I think for me, part of the reason or part of the problem, and this is something that I think insurers will need to address more and more in the future, is that it is still very much a case of, well, I don't like the sounds of that condition. That doesn't sound quite, oh, no, I'm not really sure about that. And you're automatically looking for a reason why not to insure somebody. And I think that needs to be turned on its head. And I think we need to be saying, not why can't we insure you, but how can we insure you? And saying you are a human, you are interested in insurance, you understand that you need it. We want you to pay a premium, we want to insure you. How do we do that, and how do we make that work? And whether that's exclusions, whether that's temporary premium loadings, ultimately a decline helps nobody.
What's the next campaign going to be? Is it going to be?
I can't say that. I have thought of one, and I'm not sure if Alan's saying it's just a bit too risky.
Yeah. What I would say is I have said no to an insurance wrap.
Yes, he did say.
So that's definitely.
I wrote it all out and everything, and he just won't go for it. So.
Can you record the insurance wrap anyway, Catherine, and share it amongst your friends?
I'll do it and just not let him know. I'll just. I've got a social media account, so he won't know I'm doing it.
Great.
No, I think it's definitely more video, carrying down the video messaging type side of things. I think that'll definitely be something that we carry on doing. Well, I'll carry on doing.
Definitely, yeah. As we say, the advent calendar was absolutely brilliant. And actually, do you know what was really good actually about the advent calendar is people were commenting on it. Just people that we knew through Facebook, and you bump into them, and just friends that you wouldn't expect to. You're linked with people, and they said, "Do you know what? I've been watching those, and I've watched every single one, and it's been really, really good." And they liked that it was short and sweet and got to the point.
So thanks for tuning in, everybody. This will be available as a replay on the Cura website in the next few days. And when it does come up, can I ask everybody to do us a favour and to tweet it out once the link goes up? Because I'd really like as many people as possible to see this video. I think Catherine and Alan have got some great ideas. And I just love the story behind how they've come up with their quirky marketing campaigns. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And Alan and Catherine, thank you for doing your first live TV show.
Thank you. Bye.